From the University of Nebraska at Omaha, this is NCITE Insights. I'm your host, Blake Ersch. Welcome, everybody. This is NCITE Insights. I'm here today with Camden Carmichael. Camden is a senior studying criminology here at UNO and the School of Criminology and Criminal Justice. He has been with NCITE since June of 2022. He's been here for a long time, longer than me. And he's a great example of the kind of student experience that we are hoping students have at NCITE. So welcome, Camden.
Thank you, Blake. It's such an honor to be here as an avid NCITE Insights listener.
That's great.
It is great to be here, so I'm super happy.
Awesome, thank you. We're going to talk to you about several things today. First, about your experience here at NCITE, what brought you to the center, and sort of the kind of generally what your experience has been like here. Yeah. You've just published your first peer-reviewed journal publication.
Yes.
Was that this month?
This was this month, yes.
Awesome, excellent. And you also just had a very, very cool trip to the National Targeting Center in Washington, D.C.
I did.
So we're going to talk about all of those things today. I want to get this out of the way because we have some news to break. Camden has also just been named Student of the Month for the School of Criminology and Criminal Justice at UNO, so congratulations.
This is breaking news. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Breaking news. That's what we like to do on this podcast, is break news. All right, so just to start off, Camden, do you want to, you're a senior at UNO, but you've been here since your freshman year?
Yeah.
So can you just tell us sort of what got you to UNO, got you studying criminology, and then what brought you to NCITE initially?
Yeah, so I grew up in Lincoln, and I initially knew I wanted to come to UNO because of its great criminology and criminal justice program. And I decided to come here when I turned 18. And as for NCITE, what really got me started was I was in this class and I heard about it. And this was about maybe 2 years after we had started as a center in 2020. And we were kind of getting our footing. And I heard about it in a class and I decided to look it up. And there was just a job posting for like a regular student summer position, and I was like, you know what, I should try it, try new things. It was the summer of my freshman year, so it really was 18, 19, and NCITE decided to take a chance on me, and I've been here ever since, and it's just been such a great experience. I've learned so much. I get to work with so many brilliant researchers. I get to do great work on doing my own research, publishing peer-reviewed articles, publishing articles that are not peer-reviewed, and it's just been a great experience. And throughout the 3 years that I've been here, the faculty here, the staff here, everyone has supported me so much. It's such a great student culture, such great culture in general, and it's just been a great experience. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy I decided to take a chance. So
awesome. Can you tell us about how your role has changed since you've been here?
Yeah. So I initially kind of started in operations. I was working on helping our director, Dr. Gina Ligon, and scheduling on her calendar, which is a very big, monumental task. But I realized when we were visited by the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security at the time, I realized kind of the impact of the research that we were doing, and I kind of knew I wanted to get involved in that side. So ever since that moment, I kind of took opportunities that I could to get involved in research. I reached out to different researchers here. I started doing, some more side projects with them. And eventually that kind of transitioned to me working on research full time. And I've been recently had the great experience of working with Seamus Hughes on several of his projects and getting to learn from him and all that stuff. And it's just been a great experience to kind of go from, working on operations and kind of learning how the center works and how we do stuff, to then working on an actual specific project and being able to support that. I think it's given me a really well-rounded view of it. And I can support the project because I know how the operations work, and I can support the operations because I know how the projects work. And it's just been a great experience to learn from both sides of this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely started more operations and then moved into research.
What is it that draws you to the research side?
I really think it's this impact, and we talk a lot about impact at NCITE, but there's just something about, seeing the work you're working on can impact the national scale and national security on such a national level and also on a global level. I mean, we have international partnerships as well, but there's just something about seeing the research that you do and the work that you do every day being read by the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, or these people that you don't expect to be reading your stuff, and it's such an amazing thing, and it feels like you really are able to help in a way. I'm not a frontline law enforcement officer or anything like that, but I do feel like I'm supporting this, and I'm adding to this literature about how we understand terrorism and violent extremism, and it's so rewarding to work and do this kind of research and to be able to do this and actually see the impacts of it, which I think NCITE is great at doing. So that's kind of what really drew me into it.
Speaking of that, so you recently had, we mentioned this, that you visited the National Targeting Center. So you got to see some of where, we're doing research here, some of the people who are using that research in action. So let's just back up a little bit. Why were you in DC to begin with before you made this visit?
So I was in DC for NCITE's second biennial review. This is a review that happens every 2 years, conducted by the Department of Homeland Security, and I was very lucky to be invited to do a couple of talks there where I spoke about my project that I'm doing with Seamus Hughes, as well as I got to talk about the student experience at NCITE as well. And I was in DC, and I decided to take an extra day, and I was invited with our director, Dr. Gina Ligon, to go to the National Targeting Center with George Comas, and it was just a great experience.
Cool. So what did you learn about the National Targeting Center while you were there?
Yeah. So number one, I learned a little bit more in depth about what they do. I feel like it's talked about what they do, but getting to go there and see what they do and how they're tracking individuals or cargo that can be threatening to the United States or national security. But number two, I learned how in-depth their culture is and how much they care and how much they want to protect our nation. And I got to learn about the different roles that they have there, some of the things that are not law enforcement oriented, but more intelligence oriented, as well as just like learning how they operate within the larger Department of Homeland Security, but also Customs and Border Protection as well. So it was just a great experience to learn about all that. And truly, it was like a huge shot in the arm. My goal ever since I started at NCITE was to get involved in the government in some way, and more specifically into intelligence. And it was just so cool to see all the work that they're doing, all the data sets that they have, and hear from people that are doing it every single day and how passionate they are about it. And it was very inspiring. They're very inspiring people over there. It's really cool. So that was one of the main things that I came away with from that visit, was just how inspiring it was to see. These are hardworking people doing work every single day that protects this nation. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. You said it was a shot in the arm, so obviously you've got some of your own research interests that are percolating. So let's talk about your first publication. And so this was published in Global Crime this month.
Yeah.
Who did you work with on it?
I worked with the brilliant Callie Vitro, Dr. Austin Doctor, and Seamus Hughes. And we worked really hard on this paper, which we just published in Global Crime, like you said. This is a huge accomplishment for me. Also, like you said, this is my first peer-reviewed publication. It is very monumental for an undergraduate student to be involved, and I was very lucky to be on this great research team with Callie, Austin Doctor, and Seamus. And it's just been great. So.
Yeah. Can you give us the gist of what this article discussed?
Yeah, so we were really interested in kind of understanding what the differences are when sentencing a terrorist leader versus a terrorist follower. So we collected our own unique data of over 200 ISIS defendants that have been charged federally within the U.S. And we looked at all of their court cases and all their court documents, and were able to determine if they were a leader or a follower. And we ended up deciding that there are some mechanisms that the U.S. prosecution uses to help sentence leaders or followers. And for leaders, we found that there's 3 mechanisms that they use: proportional accountability, headhunting, and deterrence. And we found through our research, and we found that there is a very clear leadership effect to sentencing an ISIS defendant. So we found that leaders often get a decade more in their sentence length versus an ISIS follower through those 3 different mechanisms.
how could somebody? So we talked about your visit to the National Targeting
Yeah.
Center. So you've seen sort of like the work in action. How do you see somebody using something like this, the information that you've found for this article?
Yeah, so this can be used, we think, in a lot of ways. So understanding the different mechanisms that go into, number one, what a leader is doing. We had a mixed methods study, so we did statistical analysis, but we also did a non-statistical analysis where we looked at the different sentencing memos and parsed out what these leaders are doing and how they're doing it and how it fit into those mechanisms. So we hope that can be better understood by some of our law enforcement partners to better understand what these leaders are doing and how they're doing it before they get charged or prosecuted. So you can maybe discover more networks or discover what someone is doing through these mechanisms already.
What kinds of skills did you learn when you're doing this work? I mean, I know and we'll get to that in a second, but you're involved in a lot of pulling records and synthesizing those records. So tell us about what you've learned doing something like this.
Yeah, it can be tough. Some of the skills that I've learned are just synthesization. I don't know if that's a real word, but it feels like a real word. And just taking these, we had tens of thousands of pages of court documents that we had to go through and find and code and look at, and just taking all this raw data and turning it into a product like a paper. And while paper is long, it can be hard to really synthesize this all down and to understand it. So you have to be really organized, and you have to find ways to motivate yourself to get through it too. That can be a huge thing too. So I think those were the two main skills that really, for this publication in particular, that really stood out to me, is just this level of synthesization that I had never had to do before.
We're going to stick with that.
Yeah,
as a word. Yes.
Yeah,
it's out there in the world. It's going to
now.
become part of. Yes.
So,
what are some of the other research? What's some other research that you're involved in here at NCITE?
Yeah, so I work on a couple different projects. I like previously mentioned, I work with Seamus Hughes on his project titled Non-Terrorism Charges for Terrorism Investigations, where we're doing a similar method where we're taking U.S. federal court records and finding non-terrorism charges for different terrorist groups. So currently we're working on a different ISIS publication and trying to find some of the non-terrorism charges that ISIS defendants have faced over the years. I also work tangentially on a project titled Understanding Threats to Public Officials, where I'm also doing some of the similar methods where we're pulling U.S. federal court documents, trying to understand these threats that these public officials are getting. And then I also work on a BOA project where we're understanding how suspicious activity reports go through the system and kind of the steps that are taken. And we're really understanding the suspicious activity report itself. We haven't done a lot of work on that. It was just recently approved by IRB, but we're really excited to get cracking on that. And then the ISIS leadership project as well.
Awesome. So you've had, I know, just from my own awareness, that you've had some other publications, maybe not in a peer-reviewed journal, based on some of this work. Can you tell us some about that?
Yeah, so I've been very lucky to work with Seamus, and Seamus really focuses on publishing publications in a lot of different outlets. And we published a lot in Lawfare, as well as recently we published in ICCT. And both of these things were not peer-reviewed, but it's really great because we're able to talk about some of the research that we're doing and synthesize that into a more public-facing audience. Peer-reviewed publications are fantastic, but we also see a lot of clicks through Lawfare or the ICCT journal. So we try to do that with each one of our infographics or research briefs that we do. So we've done stuff on different violent extremist groups that we published through Lawfare and ICCT, and we're planning on doing a little bit more through the ISIS publication as well. So planning to put on a couple Lawfare pieces as well.
Awesome. How has doing all of this work sort of you're a senior now, so you've got big decisions to make. So how has doing all of this work shaped what you want to do with the rest of your life?
it has greatly shaped what I want to do. When I first started college, I did not think that this would be the path I took. I did not imagine that I was going to be working on publications or even have a peer-reviewed publication or be working on research. And not that I was selling myself short, but there was a point where you kind of realize like, wow, I really can do this. And I credit a lot of that to the center and all the great opportunities I've had here, but it has really shown me, I can do these really hard things, these hard tasks, and work in this hard research environment where, I'm looking at court documents of terrible things or attacks or plots. And it has really shaped my thought about what I can do. So I did not think I was going to be going to grad school, but I am currently applying to grad school, hoping to stay here at UNO and continue working here. But no, it has greatly shaped what I thought I could do myself and what I think other undergraduate students can do as well. I think there's a great deal of work that can be done by undergraduates, and I think there's a lot of stuff that we can accomplish with all that. And it's just been really great. It has completely rewired my brain on what I can do. It's just great.
That's awesome. You talked about, you're going to grad school. You talked about you're interested in intelligence. What are your sort of like long-term career plans?
So my long-term career plan really is to get into the federal government, more specifically into intelligence. I don't have a specific place I want to end up. So there's not like, oh, I want to work at the FBI in intelligence and analysis or DHS intelligence and analysis, but I know that I want to be involved in that and I want to help. And I'm really motivated by that. And through NCITE, I've got to meet a lot of senior intelligence officials or people that work through government contracts, and getting to hear from their experiences, it just really has shaped, I know I want to go do that. I know I want to help in this way, and I know I can help in this way. And that really is what motivates me long-term career goal rise. Like I said, I don't necessarily have a specific place I want to end up, but I know I want to be involved, and I think this is a great way to do it. So
that's awesome. Tell us about the student experience here. I'm taking the host's prerogative here. I happen to sit like 20 feet away from you, so I hear that you guys are all always buzzing about something. So tell us about the student culture here. Student culture
is great. I've never been at a place that cares as much about students, I don't think, and giving students this experience. Number one, I get to work with great researchers every single day. Not just other students, but I get to work with the doctors of the world and the Seamus Hugheses. And but then also on top of that, I get to work with people that I probably would not have in another context. So like working with Callie. Callie is a graduate student, and she's a great graduate student. I don't think I would have had the chance to work with her if it hadn't been through here. Or I get to work with business management students like JC and Carly had on recently. And I get to work with operations students and get involved in that way. So you really get to, like, as a student, see the problems and everything that we're facing from so many different perspectives. It is so fascinating to hear what IO Psych people have to say about this, or what business management students also have to say about a specific topic, or what they're researching, and what the aspects of a terrorist group or a terrorist organization that they're looking at that I had never thought of. And it really opens up your mind, and it allows you to see these problems from more like holistic angle, which I think is very necessary for actually tackling these problems. And I know that's something that NCITE and the center has done a lot of work in, is this interdisciplinary work. But past just the faculty and the staff that we have here, it really translates to the students as well, and it's great.
Has that, sort of being exposed to all these students and researchers from all these different disciplines, has that impacted how you view like criminology, your chosen discipline?
It really has. in a way, it has really helped me, number one, know that I wanted to choose criminology. It has been, very rewarding to know that, like, wow, I do want to research this. But number two, it in that same way where it opens up my mind a little bit, allows me to come at some of my classes or some of my coursework with kind of a different perspective. It also allows me to get feedback from people that wouldn't necessarily read like a crim paper that I'm turning in for a class. I get to hear from a communications major how like that argument probably isn't as sound as I think it is. Or you could rewrite it this way, or you can reorder the paragraphs in this to make it more effective. And in that way, I think it has helped me much more academically, but also has helped me connect more with crim students because I knew I wanted to be in crim now, and it's just great. It's a great experience. But
I can't believe I didn't mention this. You're captain of the UNO curling club.
yes, yeah, I'm captain of the UNO curling team and president of the club. And my message to all prospective UNO students or students watching this is please join curling. It is such an amazing sport. It's welcome to all experience levels, and it's a great way to get involved, and it's a great club sport, and it's such a great college sport. And we have so many insiders that do it. I really want to plug this. Our producer Ben Bottafrano behind the camera does it. We have Carly and JC also both tried curling. Our operations support person Scott curls and has been curling for years. So I'm trying to get as many people involved in curling as possible, and hopefully we can start a NCITE curling team.
I think we need to get
whatever.
What do they? I don't even know what they call it.
Like a curling stone?
A stone.
Yes. Put it in the background.
Yes, exactly.
I think
or
that'd be
just
great.
Like one that looks like this.
We could.
I just changed the light on here. That's fine. I actually have a follow-up question to that. What have you learned from curling that you have been able to apply to either your work at NCITE or to just your academic life broadly?
Yeah, that's a great question. Curling is a lot about endurance and resilience, and that sounds so cheesy, but there are times where it does not feel like you're going to win the game or you're going to do whatever, and you just have to keep powering through and keep doing it and keep working hard. And I think that has something that has really shaped my student experience as well, because there are times where I think, and everyone has felt this as a student, you aren't as motivated as you want to be, you aren't as motivated as maybe you should be, but something keeps pulling you. And I think through curling, I have learned to really hone in on that aspect of like, oh, there's something that's really motivating me here, even if I don't feel it. Like, I still need to get through this. And I think that has really helped me. Curling has really helped me in that way. And it is just such a great sport, and it's a great way to get connected with students. But no, it's great.
That's awesome. That is an excellent message to end on. So thank you, Camden. I'm glad we talked about curling.
Absolutely.
I think anything else you'd like to add?
I do not think so. Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, guys. Until next time. This series is produced by Ben Bottafrano, Aaron Grace, Scott Jordan, and Blake Ersch. Thank you for joining us on another episode of NCITE Insights. NCITE is an academic center of excellence for the Department of Homeland Security. Looking for more info? Check out our website at incite.unomaha.edu or email us at incite@unomaha.edu.